In this video, I'm gonna give you guys some tips on singing those low growling death metal vocals.
It comes over me at night while I sleep. They tell me to kill.
Alright, so the first thing I want you guys to understand about death metal vocals, and especially those lower growls, we're not yelling, and technically we're not even growling. Rather, think of this, and I want you to get this in your head, think of this as a vocal effect that we are performing organically. So this is not yelling, not growling, not screaming, not any of that. It's an organic vocal effect that you're learning how to master. Okay, so in other words, we're not going, "Rah!" We're not just, screaming or growling or whatever. We're actually holding back a little bit, okay? It's more of a breathy type effect that we're using.
It comes over me at night while I sleep. They tell me to kill.
Now, if you notice there, my throat was very relaxed in doing that. And since there's no music, you also may have kind of like sensed some of that air push. It's almost like a guitar amp when you're playing metal guitar through a tube amp. You've got that push of air that's coming out of those speakers. So our voice in death metal is kind of doing that same thing. So what I'm doing is I'm taking in deep breaths before I start singing, for one. And this is just kind of a basic singing tip, in general, but especially with death metal doing these lower growls, I take in as much breath as possible because I'm going to use every bit of that air for every phrase of vocals that I sing. And I try to also breathe back in that air as much as possible between those little sets. So whenever I have a break and a little vocal break there, I'm going to take a deep breath, and then I'm going to start using that breath to gently push those notes out each time. So your vocal cords, they're not going to be wide open. And this is where the main difference between like singing, like, hey, I'm using my vocal cords for that. My vocal cords are open and I'm getting it out there and projecting, whereas death metal is more like, hey. I held some back.
One last right. Secret growl.
Now, another thing I do too is as I release that air on that vocal line, another thing I do is I start tightening up my core. I start actually tightening up. It's almost like a little ab workout, to get that contraction there. And that just kind of helps me have more control over that vocal part coming out. Because the thing with death metal vocals is it's really easy to lose control. But if you tighten your core, or at least this works for me, as I tighten my core, I can maintain control of that vocal note until I've finished it, until it's all the way out there, and then I take in my deep breath again.
You're not the only one that's standing. My final ready.
Now I want to go back to the growling part. What makes this the low growling death metal vocals like a Monomarth and so many other death metal bands you hear.
Must kill all.
Notice I'm not like trying to go low. I'm like not trying to talk low with my voice, although I have kind of a natural low voice in general. What I want to encourage you to do here is try to use your natural tone as much as possible. Even if your voice, your talking voice or your singing voice, if it's naturally higher, what I want you to do is just talk your normal voice and then just drop it down a little bit. Don't try to go super low because you want this to be a natural effect. My voice is like this, so I might go down like this. Connect that in your head. Connect that tone that you just projected up here and just make that mental connection with it. Take that deep breath.
Must kill all. Must kill all.
Let whatever comes out just be what that is. And then try to work on the little nuances after that. But I want you guys to really, really have your own natural, organic death metal growling voice, if that makes sense. I don't necessarily want you to try to sound like someone else or me or anybody, but just use these techniques that we're going over here and just see what comes out naturally. I think that's going to be your best death metal voice.
It comes over me at night while I sleep. They tell me to kill.
Now, the song I was singing in the video called Final Rain, again, that's from my latest album, Masterpeace. Definitely go check that out. There's a link in the description of this YouTube video. What's your greatest challenge as a death metal vocalist? And also, I want you to try these techniques that I gave you in this video and let me know if these help. So just comment below. I always try to answer you guys back. I love talking about this stuff. It's awesome. So guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, keep it metal.
One last fight.